not half bad, right? Yeah. I've recorded in worse conditions, facially and emotionally, socioeconomically. Hey, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Choecast. I am your beloved English teacher. Why did I make that my catchphrase? I don't know. Don't ask me too many questions right now. This is not really working at full capacity. When I'm posting this, it should be Friday, May 19th. Recording this on a Wednesday. Not feeling so hot, guys. I think we should be honest. And to be honest, not having the best week, but has been worse, can be worse, and it isn't. So I am trying to be thankful for that. It is not always easy to stay positive. I know. I know very well, but I'm trying. And at this point, if I'm trying, I feel like it's good enough. So today's topic that I wanted to talk about was this idea of guilt. Everybody knows what guilt is. I am assuming that everybody has felt guilt before. If you have never felt guilt before, I really am curious to hear your life story as to how that came to be. But I think for the vast majority of people, we have experienced guilt. Maybe you're experiencing guilt right now. There are different kinds of guilt. I think guilt can be a helpful emotion in some cases, but a lot of times guilt is also something that isn't necessarily going to be the best feeling for you. You can't force yourself to stop feeling guilty, but I think once you understand why you feel guilty and you can address the root behind it, I think it makes guilt a lot easier to deal with. There's different kinds of guilt. There's the guilt that you learn when you're a little kid. You mess up, you do something wrong, and you feel bad. I mean, maybe you feel bad because you're afraid that when your parents or your older siblings get home, they're gonna come for you. Yeah, I think that was my first experience with guilt when I was a little kid. I messed something up. I broke something. I broke a lot of stuff because I was a very energetic child. And obviously, yeah, I was afraid of getting in trouble because my mom was really scary. I think also there was that feeling of, oh, shoot, I messed up. I feel bad that I messed up, that I have broken this thing, that I have messed up this thing, that I have broken someone's trust. That seems to be the base level of guilt. And I think as you get older, your feelings get more complicated, your thinking gets more complicated, and so guilt becomes more complicated too. For example, I feel like a lot of times people feel guilty for succeeding when others haven't. People can feel guilty for surviving in a situation where others have not. That's called survivor's guilt. And then I think also you can feel guilt towards someone in your life who cares for you, who takes care of you in some way. And when they do something for you, sometimes you feel guilty even though you haven't done anything wrong. And I think that's really interesting because when I was thinking about the topic of guilt, I remembered a student that I had last year. I had actually known him for a couple of years because I was his teacher for lunch duty every year. And you get to know some people in the cafeteria. Like you recognize certain kids and they ask you for a bathroom pass every day. They say hi to you every day. You know, even if they're not my kids, I kind of know them. And then I got him as a student. Really, really, really good kid. Really bad at school, but a good person. By bad at school, I don't really necessarily mean that he wasn't smart. He was a very intelligent person, and the things that he knew, he really knew well, but he just hated school. He didn't really see a point in what he was doing, and he just, I don't know why he couldn't meet his deadlines. He really couldn't. I mean, he worked as a manager at his job, so that tells me that he's somebody that when he puts his mind to it, he can do something really well. He can follow through. Obviously, he's responsible enough to become a manager. So it was his senior year, and we were talking, and I was like, "Are you gonna graduate?" He was like, "I'm not really sure." I was like, "You need to graduate. You're a senior. You're almost at the finish line, and you're tripping at the finish line." He's like, "I know, I know, I know." And then I asked him, "Okay, so what's your plan after graduation?" He goes, "I guess I'll work." Work where? Do what? I don't know. I'll just work. I was like, "You want to keep working at that job you have after school now?" He's like, "No, I hate it." Okay, so what's your plan? And he really didn't have an answer for me. And so I asked him, "Are you planning to apply to any schools? Are you going to go to college? What about tech school?" And he said no, which sometimes when people say no, they really mean, no, I don't have any idea. I don't have any thoughts in my head, but he wasn't that type of person. Really, he was too smart not to have thought about that. So I didn't press him on it because I didn't know him well enough. And as I got to know him a little bit better, I said, what's the real story? And it turns out that his parents had saved up money and they were pushing him to go to school because they wanted him to get some kind of training, at least. Even if he didn't go to a 4-year university, they said go to some kind of program, get an associate's, get a cert. And he said to me, Miss, I feel guilty taking their money. I said, what are you talking about? I guess for me, I didn't appreciate how hard my parents worked to make their money when I was a kid. And when I got to college, when I was already in college, I think that's where I started to really appreciate that for my parents, they run a dry cleaners. For them to make the money that bought the food that we eat, my dad had to wash dirty clothes, and sometimes people get nasty stains on their clothes. Like it's pretty gross. My mom had to sew, my mom had to replace buttons. And if people came and said, I want to fix my dress, can you tailor it to me? She needs to then help them with that. They have to deal with customers that our customers are generally very nice, but once in a while we get someone really rude, and my parents have to deal with that. When my dad was healthy, when he was younger and he could work more, he worked literally 12 hours a day, barely sitting down. And I guess he was way more mature than I was because he understood how hard his parents worked for their money as a senior, or maybe even before that. His parents kept saying, we'll pay for school. Just go. We have the money saved. Go. He just said no. I don't know. Maybe I think up until now, my way of thinking has been very, I only know my thing because I'm me and not someone else. I guess for me, it was always a given that my parents were going to help me go through school, not because it wasn't hard for them to earn money, but because I knew that they were investing in me to do better because I was their kid. Maybe that says more about how ungrateful I am than about how this is a story about guilt. I don't know whether he was right to have turned down that money. I believe that he didn't end up going to college after he graduated. I don't know what the moral of that story is. It makes me sad when I think about it because he had a chance to do something. He was talking to me about how maybe he was interested in cars and being a mechanic. And, I said that training for being a mechanic is cheaper and faster than going to college for 4 years. So I guess this story is kind of about how when I was a kid, I didn't appreciate what my parents did for me. As I became a college student, I started to understand what they did for me. And I did feel a little bit guilty. I think there was a time where I felt very bad to my parents because I knew how hard they had worked to do everything for me. I guess now I'm at a point where I don't know if I've said this before. Your understanding of your parents evolves as you get older. It should anyway. I don't think everybody gets that level of maturity, which makes it sound like, oh, I'm such a mature person. I'm not. I'm an immature idiot. But when it comes to things like family, I feel like I do know my stuff a little bit better than other things. Yeah, so when I was a kid, I thought, oh, mom and dad have money for me because they have money for me. And then in college, it was, oh, I feel really bad that they have to give money to me. But now that I'm as an adult and I'm working, and I don't have kids of my own, but I have students and I have younger friends and I have younger cousins, when they need things and I'm able to provide for them, that doesn't make me feel put out in any way. It doesn't make me annoyed that I have to help them or spend money. For example, my baby cousin, my youngest cousin, he is a sophomore in high school right now. He's right around your age. We didn't always have a chance to hang out a lot, I think, because our cousins are we're kind of clustered in age groups. So the way that our cousins' ages kind of work out is that somebody was always in college, somebody was always busy. And now this is around the time where most of us are out of school. And the youngest ones, they're kind of old enough that we can talk and hang out. We didn't always spend that much time together. I've spent time with my other cousins more because we're closer in age. When we started to try to spend time together, it's kind of obvious in my culture that if you're the youngest, your older friends, especially older family, they're going to pay for you. It's not, oh, I'll do it this time and you pay next time. It's, I'm older than you, I'm earning money and you're not. Just shut up and let me pay the bill. And he always felt really bad and uncomfortable at first. But I think as we started to spend more time together, he understood that we weren't doing it out of an expectation to receive anything or to look a certain way. It's because genuinely hey, you're my cousin. You think I can't buy dinner for you once or twice every once in a while? I'm not doing this to flex, but when I was younger and I started to understand how much my parents worked for everything they had, I would want to buy things. I would want things and I'd want a little bit of extra pocket money. And I could never ask because I felt really bad. So, every once in a while, I'll slip him a little bit of pocket money just when I see him, for holidays and stuff. And he felt really guilty at first. I think now he started to just understand, okay, thank you. I appreciate it. But I don't know. I've been on the end of where I felt guilt about things like that. And then as I get older, I've started to understand the other side where when I do something out of love for you, it's really because I want to express love for you. It's not, oh, I'm investing this much money in this kid. He better pay me back in the future somehow. I really don't want that. I don't expect that. If he ends up becoming a billionaire later and he wants to buy me a house, I mean, thank you, but that's not really what I want from this. I just want him to know that even if we're kind of far apart in age, even if I have my own life going on, that I'm still thinking about him and that I still want him to do well. And I know that if I do end up having kids in the future, I am going to put them through school. I'm going to pay for everything. And it's not because it's a duty, it's a burden on me. It's because I want to provide the best possible life for them. I think it's really great that kids can understand the amount of energy and time and money is invested in them. But I think that appreciation should be different from guilt. Appreciation is, I'm grateful to you. I understand how much you love me. I appreciate it. It's very different from, oh, I feel bad. Don't feel bad because then that person has done that for you out of love, and what you're returning to them is guilt. It doesn't really feel like a good exchange there. And I think a lot of times also our parents, well, this isn't true for everyone, but in my situation, my parents weren't always well off and they wanted to give me what they couldn't have. Sometimes my parents give me too much. Like, for example, even now, I'll go to the store and my mom will say, hey, could you buy me a carton of milk and a couple of things? I'll say, okay. Comes out to $10, right? No, it'll come out to $10.11, and I'll come home. My mom will give me $20. Mom, just give me $10. Oh, no, 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 no. You use gas to go there and you spent your time. I was like, Mom, I was gonna go anyway. But it's this idea of she wants to give it to me because she can, and she couldn't have always done that. I don't know. I think everybody's relationship with guilt is different. I think that's something that I've noticed a lot, particularly among my students. And I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, but it's the job of the adults in your life to take care of you. Um, Nobody should be in charge of raising themselves. You were brought into this world by people. I don't know what kind of people they were, but nobody is born just ready to go. You need to learn, you need to be nurtured, you need to grow. And it's the job of the older generation to make sure that that happens in a safe way. So for, kids and teenagers to feel guilt over being cared for, that is just wrong. It's just your job to grow and to take. And when you're older and you have the means, then it's the time for you to say, I appreciate what you did. Let me give back to you. Let me take care of you now. But as a kid, it's just your job to take, honestly. Think about babies. All they do is poop and eat and cry, and that's their job. Nobody looks at a baby and goes, you're selfish. It's the baby's job to do that. Maybe kind of put that into perspective here. If you're feeling guilty over what your parents do for you, appreciate it. How about in the ways that you can help out? Maybe you can clean the house, maybe you can do the dishes after dinner, maybe you can cook once in a while. If your dad or mom is out working and then they have to come home and they're tired, maybe you could cook. I mean, you're smart enough. I don't know if I trust all of you with a knife, but most of you, I think you should be okay. Find the ways that you can show them that you appreciate them, but don't reject what they do for you out of guilt. That's because then I feel like in the long run, that's actually going to hurt your parents more than help them. Sure, it might save them some money, but they want to do stuff for you a lot of times. And I don't know. I think it's okay to just be a kid and to take for now. So, ask me again in 10 years. It'll be a different story. But for now, I think this is good enough. this topic kind of didn't go where I wanted it to go, but that's fine. That's like 80% of the episode at this point. I really want to go back and watch the first episode and look at the expression on my face and look at my eyes to see how different I look, because I feel like all these months at home I'm starting to go kind of feral, and I'm very worried about when they release us all into society. I wonder how I'm going to function as a regular human being again, because I was already struggling with that. Anyway, there's really nothing else I can say about that. I just miss you guys. I miss you guys like hell, and I hope you're all doing as okay as you can be in this situation. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.